Hello and welcome to Sarat Chandra IAS Academy, where your dreams are our mission. This is Yatharth here, and today we'll be talking about India's hunger paradox. So let us begin the lecture with the context. So this is the article, this is the editorial. It was published in The Hindu, from where I have taken this lecture or the context. So let's first understand these two words. One is hunger, and second is paradox, because these forms the title of the article. So what is paradox? Paradox is something, let's say there are two statements or two situations which are present at the same time. They are contradictory and both are true. That means they seem to be contradictory but are actually true, and both are present at the same time. All right. So when we talk about the hunger paradox, what are we saying? What are the two things? That self-sufficiency in production. That means if we have enough, we are sufficient to produce ourselves, our own food, then why exists hunger? So we cannot say that we do not have self-production sufficiency. This is also present. But we also cannot say that we have completely ruled out hunger. This is also present. Then why are these both present? If we are self-sufficient to make our own food, then why does hunger exist in India? So let's see this. It simply means the condition that hunger cannot be entirely solved by the food production. It only does mean two things, that either hunger does not mean the availability of food, or hunger cannot be solved enough or exclusively by the availability of food. Either it means something else. There are other factors also. So what are these other factors? This can be the micronutrition. It can be the accessibility to the food. It can be the nutrition that is being provided by the food actually. The growth pattern. The differential hunger in the especially vulnerable groups. So let's see all this and note down the points which can be useful for our mains answer writing. So whenever we talk about mains answer writing or answer writing in any general sense, we talk about the context or introduction, the factors or the body of the answer. We talk about the challenges involved, and we lastly talk about the way forward. And if possible, we can end with a conclusion. So let's see in this manner only. So what is the introduction and body? That India has achieved self-sufficiency in food production. In food production spanning more than 4 decades. That means for the last 40 years, which means since 1980s. So you can mention Green Revolution also, or other revolutions in the Indian food growth, but this does not guarantee food security. So it should have guaranteed food security, but it does not. So this is the paradox here. So hunger still persists despite surplus production. So why is that? Another thing is the National Family Health Survey conducted in 2019-21 shows that a considerable proportion of the young children in India face food insecurity. That means either they are hungry or are not having enough nutrition. So to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal SDG 2, so please remember this, that it is SDG 2 of zero hunger. India must take strategic initiatives to eliminate food insecurity and ensure affordable access to nutritious food for all. So these three things are very important. One is affordable, second is access, third is nutritional food for all. Let's see these four things. So one thing is one factor. So the answer or the editorial will itself tell you the factors that can become the reason. So one is access. Second is affordability. Third is it being nutritious. And fourth is to all. So these are the basic challenges. Either the food is present but not accessible to all. Everyone is not able to get the food which is there. That means there is some kind of logistics error. There is some kind of food supply chain error. Affordability means there is some kind of economic disadvantage that some groups are facing. They are not able to afford the food. India is, let's say, instead exporting this material to other countries which can afford. And the food in the country itself is not available to some groups which cannot afford it. It being not nutritious, let's say, of course, let's say if there is a crop, then the crop is measured in 2-3 qualities. Let's say the quality is A plus, quality is A, quality is B, which means that the A plus quality means unbroken grain, the complete grain, which is sold as the highest prices. The B grain is, let's say, broken and less nutritious. All right. So if let's say the B grain is always consumed by one portion, or let's say the children of one village, then they are not able to get the complete nutrition. So they are not nutritious. And fourth is all. Let's say the food is not available to females, the elderlies, the pregnant women, the children, the school going children, the vulnerable group, or the, let's say, which are sick. So these are all the problems which can be faced by people. These are all the factors. One more thing here, how do you become better at answer writing than other students? So let's say if I told you that accessibility is the problem. So now your work is to go and see that what kind of accessibility is the problem. Is it geographical? Is it cultural? Is it social? Or is there of any other kind? Is it economic? What are the case studies? Let's say one example related to this. Let's say Konda Reddy tribe of the Odisha or Jharkhand or Andhra Pradesh, let's say that region, they are not able to access the food given by the Anganwadis because of their habitat. Let's say this is the geographical problem to the hunger. Alright, so who has solved it? So this can become your plus points. So this is your individual work which you have to do in order to become better than others in the answer writing. So India has achieved self-sufficiency in food production. So this we have already covered. This is duplicated slide. Okay, so let's see the NFHS 5 National Family Health Survey 5 and its results. Just a second. All. So among mothers with a child aged 6 to 23 months. So these can be skipped. This data is not important. It cannot be replicated in the answer because you will forget it. Our mind is not, our brain is not designed to hold so many things. But let's say we can remember it or reduplicate it. It's okay. So 18% reported that child has not eaten any food in the last 24 hours. So this is referred to as zero food. So what is zero food? This term is important. The term is zero food. So what is zero food? That no food in last 24 hours. This is why this data is important, let's say, and raises serious concern related to severe food insecurity. So the zero food prevalence was 30% for infants. So these are the vulnerable groups. 13% among 12 to 17 months old. and 8% among 18 to 23 months old children. So it's actually severe in the even younger population, which are only 6 to 11 months. So this can become severe food insecurity. What does Global Hunger Index say? That India ranked 107 out of 121 country. So this not much need to use this, because as per the GOI, Government of India, this was not based on the true ground realities, but can use in the answer writing sometimes. India's, this data is important. Child wasting rate. So what is wasting? What is stunting? There are two things. One is wasting, one is stunting. So wasting is low weight for height. That means height is okay, weight is not okay. And stunting is low height for weight. That means they are very short statured. It's worse than the level recorded in 2011 and even 2000. So it's getting worse. Child wasting rate is getting worse through the decades. Prevalence of undernourishment. So this is also a factor. It has also risen in the country from 14.6% to 16.3%. So how can you write this? You don't need to produce the exact data. Just remember the pattern. Because your paternal observation is supported by the actual data. So you can just remember the pattern that prevalence of undernourishment and child wasting rate has worsened through last decade in India. Now this cannot be challenged because it is backed by data that you are not able to remember and you did not choose to reproduce. If you can remember, then exactly very good. Alright, let us see what are the challenges involved now. So limitation of anthropometric measures. So what are anthropometric? So anything that is measuring things related to humans, this is anthropometric. Alright, let me change the pen color. Just a second. Alright. So measures of anthropometric failure, such as stunting and wasting. So we have seen these both are inadequate for assessing the extent of nutritional deprivation among young children in India. So we cannot say that nutrition, let's say deprivation, only results in two things, either stunting or wasting. There can be other things also. So there should be other measures or measurement techniques for all these things. One is specific deprivation in food groups. So what are these groups? Such as 80% of the children, or let's say females, or let's say women, or elderlies. So you can write this data also. All right. The role of Poshan 2.0. So it's a flagship program dedicated to maternal and child nutrition in India. So now you can go and see its success rate, or what are the individual failures for this program. Till here you can make notes based on the things we talked about, based on the factors and the challenges involved. Let's see more challenges involved. One is poverty. So poverty, of course, it is economic factor. Economic accessibility. Now what happens in the economic accessibility? Just a second. Let's say someone is poor, which means they can or they may be able to afford some kind of food, but not the good kind of food. So the good food is not available to them. The nutritious one is not available to them. It's available in the market, that is there. The food sufficiency is there. It's not available to them because they cannot afford it. Now the issue here, just a second. Now the issue here is that they are eating the non-nutritious food for long duration. Or chronically. So this will lead to various problems such as wasting, stunting, may lead to even kwashiorkor or other protein deficiency syndromes. It has also led to various groups sickle cell anemia. Although it is an autosomal recessive genetic disease, but micronutrition has also played a part in producing or replicating this disease in the vulnerable groups, such as tribals. It is most prevalent in the state of Maharashtra. All right. Other things is water, sanitation, access to food items. So this we have already talked about. There can be various diseases if the water and sanitations are not good. Disease can make a person sick and unable to obtain food or eat food. Even if they have food, they will not be eating it because they will not be feeling hungry or their appetite loss will be there. So these are the things. Other thing is a person nutritional quotient is also dependent on demographic factors like gender, caste, age, etc. So we already talked about this. This can be geographical factors, social factors, cultural factors, such as let's say if a female child is given less or more preference over a male child. So this can be gender based. Let's say their age. So if they are fed more at 15 or 16, then they are taken care at 26. There is caste also. So poor implementation of the schemes and policies on the ground level. So the implementation is handled by the ground workers, not by the administrators or the framework designers. So no matter how good framework or how good administration be carried out of these schemes and policies, it depends upon the ground workers who implement them actually. Other thing is the integrated child development services such as ICDS and National Health Mission, they have also not achieved adequate coverage. So hunger is not only dependent upon the food as we already talked about or food availability, there is also a health department. So if the health is good, then people will be able to purchase, consume and systematically earn their food. What I am talking about here, let's say one example. So there are two people. Let's say there is a person A. Now A is healthy. A is able to work. A is able to earn some money. A is able to spend that money on good food. Now because A is healthy, A also wants to eat food. His health is good. He wants to keep his fitness good. And he is able to eat the food. There is B person. Now B person is unhealthy. So neither he can work much, nor he can afford good food, nor he wants to eat food. So he does not consume as much food, first of all, nor he consumes as good food. So he becomes unhealthy and poor or unfit also. Now to take him out of this misery, there has to be some policy or scheme. So these depend, they are either health policies, they can be DBT policies. So you are supposed to see which are these policies which can affect a person's nutritional status, along with the anthropogenic measurement, getting them out of poverty, providing them good sanitation, all these things. Other two things which are in nowadays much news and which you can relate to also are climate variability, such as extremes of the temperatures and climate change. So this year is going to be of El Nino, and the summer temperatures will be higher. There will be very variable rainfall. So you can mention these both things in the example so that your knowledge of GS1 geography or GS3 environment can be displayed along with the question of the food security and society, GS3. Alright, so this is the way you can show your hidden knowledge. One thing is hidden hunger, which is micronutrient deficiency. So someone may look well furnished outside or well maintained outside, but inside they are lacking micronutrients. Let's say which are present in fortified rice like iron, or other zinc. So these are the micronutrients. All right. So if someone is lacking these things in the food, they will be malnourished. From the inside, they may feel weak. Their immunity can be low. So these are all the things. Let's see what are the way forward. So when we need better data on the food consumption, so this we already talked about. It is important for, let's say, if we want to solve a problem, then it is the foremost thing is to understand the problem. Then what is the problem? So the all factors we talked about must be systematically understood, whether it is accessibility, whether it is affordability, whether it is systematic or synchronized problems, whether it is policy implementations. Alright, so the deficiency in data related to food and dietary consumption in India highlights the need for a national effort to establish routine dietary and nutritional assessments for the entire population, measuring the availability, accessibility, and affordability of nutritious food. So please note down these words, these are the very important words, especially for disadvantaged and vulnerable population, such as young children, is crucial for developing evidence-based policies to end hunger and improve nutritional security. So in this way, if you can see, this will help you a lot. Let's say primary focus on young children. This can be one way forward. So if the children is nutritious, then they will grow out to be nutritional children or adults. All right. What are the government initiatives? One is Eat Right India. You can see them all, make notes about them all. Eat Right India, I have just taken the names here. Poshan Abhiyan, Midday Meal Scheme, Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, Food Fortification Scheme, and NFSA 2013. Plus you can add one thing in here, which is millets. So millets are also a way to solve the food insecurity in India. This year is also the year of the millets. There are various missions in the budget also. General budget announced for the millets. So you can include that perspective as well. Let's see the conclusion. So high priority initiatives can solve these things. Zero food metric, the 24 hours things that we talked about, should be used to monitor and assess the performance of initiatives such as Mission Poshan 2.0. Other thing is household level food insecurity modules developed by the Food and Agriculture Organization can be adapted. A national effort to establish routine dietary and nutritional assessment plus awareness campaign regarding malnutrition at pan-India level. So these can be the way forward and the conclusions. So this was all about today's lecture. This is Yatharth here signing off. I hope you enjoyed the lecture a lot. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video. Keep studying and be bright.